a lot has been said about the Suarez handball, and it was deliberate. He's a dirty cheat. All this, all that. I personally had a debate on Facebook about this with Mike Harniman, and along with Russ Vernon and a mate of mine, Nathan Arsenal. And the fact of the matter is, look at how quickly that happened. Look at how quickly that happened. You can't run and attempt to get something with your hands by your side. I will say that first and foremost. And secondly, the whole blame Suarez thing, I love it. It's hilarious because nobody seems to be pointing the guns inwards and actually blaming the linesman, because the linesman should have seen that. The linesman, or the referee's assistant, which is what they want to be called, but he wasn't assistant the referee then, was he? Was he? So it's a case of the linesman needs to see that. The goal should have been chalked off. I'm not going to deny that. But at the end of the day, everyone castigating Suarez for what was an accidental handball. It's one of them ones. All right, mate, tell the other one. And every commentator was saying, he should have stood up and owned up about it. Da, 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 da. And it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but how much money is generally riding on FA Cup matches and in football in general? How many other players have dived this season and not owned up to it and gotten penalties and gotten match-deciding penalties? Even look at Mario Balotelli last season. Again, who was it, against Tottenham, when everyone was saying he should have been sent off for the alleged purposeful stamp on Scott Parker, and then he goes and scores the penalty that gets City the points. It's one of them ones. What did he own up? Did he own up and say, I should have been off the pitch? No, he didn't, did he? No, he didn't. It's one of them ones. Robbie Fowler did that before. Owned up, said it shouldn't have been a penalty years ago, but the referee upheld his decision that day. All right, you might get a Miroslav Klose where I think it's Klose or Ozil, one of the two, where it's like, this shouldn't have been a goal, and the referee overturns it. But 9 times out of 10, a ref ain't gonna go back on his decision, because then it looks like he didn't believe in the original decision. So for those of you castigating Suarez and making your decisions based on what a load of idiotic, biased commentators came out and said, and what the legit media outlets will have you believe, it's one of them ones. If you ain't forming your own opinion, you're a moron. If you're letting the media influence your opinion, and you're making your opinion based on what the media puts out, considering they have an agenda, then you're a moron. I would just like to say that first and foremost. And at the end of the day, if you don't play football and you're trying to judge what happened, he kissed his wrist. He kissed his wrist. First and foremost, he does that after every goal he scores. So you may want to go back and watch DVDs or videos on YouTube of Suarez's celebration. He kisses his hand because he's got a tattoo there. He does it every game. So those trying to use that as an argument, he's admitting his guilt, morons as well. I would just like to say that. But at the end of the day, as I said, a lot of people have said, Mansfield deserved this, they deserved that. Like I've said on previous shows, mate, there have been times where Liverpool, we've dominated possession, we've had chance after chance after chance, but we ain't scored. So we didn't deserve anything, and we didn't get anything out of those games. So same with Mansfield. They had chances, but didn't put them away. So if you ain't putting away your chances, you don't deserve nothing. Pure and simple for me. That's the jack for me. Does anyone else want to jump in on that? Gman Gezzie and the Skypers as well. Anyone else want to jump in on that before we move to some of the draws?
No, I mean,
one thing I will say.
Go ahead, Gman.
The thing about Suarez is that it is past that precedes him.
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't think he meant to handle the ball, because when you watch in the replay, he's not even looking at the ball in that sort of way. And when if a player like Henry, the handball against Ireland, you could see he was looking at his hand to connect with the ball. Suarez wasn't doing that. He was just all in the motion of him playing his normal stuff football. It bounced up on his hand, it went forward, and you know what happened. But the reason why everyone badgers Suarez is because of his reputation. He's done it in the World Cup, you know, where he saved the ball on the line. All right, different sort of incidents, but you know, he's known for cheating in that sort of manner, you know, and he just hasn't made things better for himself since then.
But the liberal media hasn't helped either by just whipping it up into an absolute frenzy. Like, I mean, you brought up the Henry thing against Ireland. It's a case of most of the media were bringing it up, saying, "Oh, it should have been a replay." Da, da, da. But then a couple of days later, it had gone. Apart from the Irish, who will probably still chat about it to this day. But then it went down after a couple of days. You know, with Suarez, it's just going to keep rolling on and rolling on because of who he is, and as you said, because of past instances. Which it's one of them ones. The focus should really have been on Mansfield's performance, as a few people have said. But at the end of the day, you need to be looking at the linesman. The linesman is at fault because that's what the linesman's there for, to see that kind of thing. He should be looking right at it and be able to see it. So, for me. But Gezzie, you wanted to say something as well. Oh. Sorry, Gman, you wanted to carry... Gman, you carry on.
I just wanted to add to that. Nap Swagger has actually said, does the commentator have the right to say that I'm afraid is the work of a cheat? Now, I never heard that part of the match, but if that was said, that's disgusting, to be honest. Cause
what? That's the mark of a cheat?
Personal opinion, a commentator shouldn't be biased.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. But that's the sign of a poor commentator. At the end of the day, I mean, you ain't gonna hear John Motson saying that. And I'm not just saying that because I finished John Motson's book over the Christmas and it was a good read. But at the end of the day, mate, you won't hear that from the great commentators, because they will be able to put personal feeling aside and call the match, call it how you see it, play by play. That's the whole point. And those sort of commentators saying that's the mark of the cheat in terms of the handball. So one of them ones, they all be ashamed of themselves because they're influencing people who otherwise most people are lazy and don't want to think for themselves. We know that more than most. So it's one of them ones. I mean, Gezzie, did you want to add to? You wanted to add something to that?
I did. I was going to say that Luis Suarez's reputation is preceding him right now. And I think a lot of people are just looking to bring him down, which sounds strange coming from me, considering that I was ready to tear him down just last year. But the point that I'm making is this. I think a lot of people haven't quite got over that, and what they're looking for now is even the slightest reason to go and say anything negative about Luis Suarez. I think if you look at the incident, it's a difficult one to call initially when you're looking at it in real time, and that's probably why the assistant missed it. But at the end of the day, going back to what we were saying about the respect campaign when I was last on the show, this is the whole point, okay? The assistants are trained to spot these things. So if they're not doing that, what's the point? We cannot respect you if you're not doing your job. Anybody else in any line of work, okay, would probably be pulled up for disciplinary. And I've just seen in the chat Mike Harniman saying that the fourth official saw it. Well, he should have pointed it out. Yeah. Otherwise he's useless. Yeah. That. He should have pointed it out. They've got the communication devices, all the rest of it. Tell the ref. Yeah. It's as simple as that. That's the whole point of you being there. Tell the ref. If you're not going to do that, what is the actual point in you being the fourth official? You might as well just be a spectator.
Very much so. Just like the extra fifth officials in the Champions League.
This is it. So
paid spectators.
I just, like I say, I just think that Luis Suarez now is getting a bit of a hard deal, a bit of a raw deal. And I actually agree with Brendan Rodgers when he's saying, you have to kind of enjoy Luis Suarez while he's here, because the more of this kind of treatment and frankly abuse that he's going to get, the more he's going to want to leave, and the more you're going to lament and say, you know what, actually the Premier League has lost another good player.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. But you know what? Let's move and groove on. I mean, does anyone else want to come in and have an opinion on that, by the way, before we move on?
I think Russ does, and I think Elliot's got something to say on it as well.
All right, shoot. Russ Vernon and then Elliot Waller. Shoot.
And Mike can jump in as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Russ.
What Jay was saying just about the official, sorry, which he actually did. And he should have told referee. He actually did, and because this is what Brendan Rodgers was saying in his post-match reaction yesterday, because I saw on Twitter, he says the official saw it, the fourth official saw it, and he went mouthed over to the linesman using his microphone that they have, and the referee said he saw it, and they all said they thought it was accidental. That's why they waved play on in that incident when Suarez scored.
I heard that. You know what? Thank you for that, Russ. And you know what? Staying with the Suarez point, Elliot, you wanted to jump in as well, and then Mike Harniman before we move on.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that the rules state that it's only given a free kick if it's a deliberate handball.
Yeah, which it wasn't.
Like you said earlier, you can't run with your arms by your side. You run with your arms out, don't you?
Yeah.
And just on your Twitter post about would you or no? I wouldn't or no. It's who would.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of players out there who a lot of people want to jump on a high horse and say that they'd own up, but they wouldn't. In that situation, in that pressure cooker situation, they wouldn't. Even if it was I've seen stuff like that happen at my level, where people ain't owned up, but last season against Old Actonians, I said it on the grassroots segment last year. But last season against Old Actonians, he dived to win a penalty, but he ain't owning up that he's dived. He's one of them ones. So a lot of people like to get on their high horse, but they will happily take the low road to get to where they want to go. That's what I don't like about this. There's a lot of double standards. Oh, Suarez, he's bad. All that. Not like it. Not keen on it. But Mike Harniman, you wanted to jump in before we move on, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Basically, what I was, you know what I was saying yesterday, didn't I? You know, my immediate views on it were like, well, this was, it looked deliberate at the time to me personally.
Yeah.
That was watching it in live play, basically.
Yeah.
And I thought that the way he kicked the ball out into the net was out of frustration. That the goal was going to be disallowed. It's like, well, that's what I thought at the time.
Yeah.
But then looking back on it, watching it again, like the second time and whatever, and the third time, it looks like the fourth official's seen it. He said something to his assistant, and then basically the assistants decided that it wasn't a deliberate handball, so therefore you can't give a free kick or anything like that. So the only thing left they can do is to just let the goal stand.
That's true.
That's my sort of view on it, basically.
Yeah. No, I hear that, and hey, to an extent, I agree with it. To be perfectly frank, if you can't disallow it, then you can't disallow it.